It is Wednesday, February 6th. We have a great show here for you. The news headlines, weather report, and today in history. Also, we have the Wareham Public Schools Superintendent here with us this morning. We'll speak with Dr. Kimberly Sheverhood later on in the show during our coffee segment. Also this morning, you are going to learn how businesses on Main Street are doing following Verlife. In addition, you're going to learn of a quick and easy way to shedding down those extra pounds. But first, I would like to take this moment to thank Not Your Average Antiques, an antique shop down Cranberry Highway in East Wareham, for donating the props that you see in the Good Morning Wareham set. We'll be right back with more after this break. May you please play it? Okay, so right after I canceled my flight to somewhere warmer, temperatures dropped. It is not going to be as warm or as sunny as it was yesterday, high at 38 degrees today. Rain tonight, low around 30 degrees. A steady rain Thursday morning, showers continuing in the afternoon, high at 41 degrees. Cloudy Thursday evening, then off and on rain showers after midnight with low at 39 degrees. Expect normal traffic at Route 3 and 495. The weather conditions are good, so safe travels, everyone. And now to the news. There were a few news stories over the week, and here are the news headlines. Wareham Week was bustling with these news headlines over the week. Wareham police recover $2,000 following a suspected heroin traffic stop. A car traveling the wrong way on Cranberry Highway reportedly led Wareham police to recover more than $2,000 in cash, as well as an unspecified amount of suspected heroin on Tuesday morning. According to the reports, Officer LaRue was traveling north on Cranberry Highway near Chili's around 1 a.m. when he saw another car coming at him in the wrong lane. The driver, Patrick Martin, 38 years old, of Stoneham, and passenger Michael Lacrosse, 37 years old, of Lynn, were then uncooperative. Both suspects were held on $10,000 cash bail. And in another news, State Police has reported that a construction truck driver fled the scene of a fatal car crash in Wareham. State Police are now searching for a suspect accused of fleeing a Wareham crash that killed a 48-year-old man early Monday morning. Plymouth County District Attorney Timothy Cruz said authorities are seeking the public's help in finding the driver of a large construction dump truck with a gray body and steel tailgate. The truck's rear driver side is likely damaged, officials said. Anyone with more information is urged to call the state police detectives. And in our last news of the day, Wareham police reports 38 domestic disturbances in 1 month. Wareham police responded to 38 calls for domestic disturbances in December, highlighting the severity of an issue that Acting Police Chief John Walsek calls a double-edged sword. It's an extremely private and personal matter, said the chief, And while we want to continue to respect that privacy, we also want to make our residents more aware of the issues officers are seeing on daily basis, end quote. That is all I have for today for the news headlines. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this short break. Hello and welcome back. For today's special program, we are going to take a look at how businesses on Main Street are doing following Verlife. And also we're going to learn about a quick and easiest way to shedding down those extra pounds. But first, here are businesses on Main Street. Nearly 2 months in, and Verlife Recreation Marijuana Retail has yet to make a splash on Main Street. Despite their growing success, business on Main Street remains just okay. There was a hyped speculation regarding Verlife's impact on Main Street's businesses.
Well, Queen, I've had the store almost 2 years now. But I almost had to close up this winter because business just wasn't doing much. And at the last minute, I said, hey, maybe I'll try to sell some pipes and paraphernalia to get the business from the Verlife.
The business is not going as well as he had expected because of what he sees as a flaw in Verlife's business plan.
No, with the shuttle, the people drive by, but nobody really stops. I've had a couple of people come in, but for the most part, I'm looking forward to the shuttle stopping and having the business here on Main Street.
The plan was simple. Use shuttle buses in order to prevent heavy traffic on Main Street and also to stay clear of Toby Hospital's emergency entrance. An effective plan in which some will argue that it is too effective.
Well, I would welcome the traffic here on Main Street, and a lot of the other businesses would. I'm glad you stopped by because I want people to come in and see the changes. As you can see, I'm still going to have some of the stuff I normally had, but I also am going to try to sell the paraphernalia.
And even though not everyone is feeling Verlife's success, this particular business owner, he is in the middle of the action. Tell me, have you felt the Verlife's success, the wave of Verlife?
Yes, we have. We have a steady flow of customers coming in from them. Verlife themselves, they order 4 or 5 times a week from us.
Okay, when do you say order, they order for their drivers or for their customers?
They order for all their employees. Okay. They've got about 30, 40 employees down there in total, and they order a significant amount.
But why do Verlife order from you particularly?
I don't know, they go crazy over the food that we have. Okay. That's what they say. Yeah, we go in there with something and the employees go crazy, oh, we love your food. And so from what I know, they only order from us.
Slice of Heaven is currently featuring an ad in Wareham Week's newspaper, inspired by Verlife. Now, some businesses on Main Street have spoken out saying that they're not feeling the success of Verlife. They're not feeling the impact of Verlife within their own business. Why do you think so?
We cater not just to like Verilife, to our regular customers. We have a large vegan option menu. So we cater to the customer's individual needs, and I mean that could be the reason why. You know, and everything that we make with love. So I mean that kind of sets us, you know, head and shoulders above the rest from what everybody says.
Bert has tried everything from a catchy business sign to changing his operation hours to fit those of Verlife's. Now, if the shuttle buses continue, what do you think it will be the fate of this store?
Oh, that's going to keep me in business once that stops. Right now, I'm still not doing too good, but I'm looking forward to the shuttle stopping, and I think business will do really good.
One of the shuttle bus drivers has confirmed that they make about 35 trips on average to and from Verlife. It is not yet clear how long the shuttle bus service will continue or what Verlife's long-term business plan will be. Reporting from the Tremont Nail Factory, I am Queen Banda of WCTV. That 4:35 menu for those who do or don't for 20, the ad from A Slice of Heaven restaurant cracks me up every single time. And now, let's see how bad do you want to lose those extra pounds. Because of this new technology, you won't need to work as hard. Take a look. Okay. We understand that healthy eating and exercising are the best remedies towards shedding some extra pounds. But what to do when confronted with some stubborn areas around your body? Fat deposits that no matter what you do, never seem to melt away. To find out an answer to this question, we're going to meet with Dr. Nada Zaknoun here in Wareham to learn about a faster, non-surgical procedure that will guarantee you your best body sculpt in just minutes.
It's a non-surgical lipolysis basically, so basically destroying the fat cells. It's efficient, it's scientifically proven by ultrasound studies.
So tell us about TrueSculpt, what it is.
So TrueSculpt is the latest technology in body contouring. So it's radio frequency basically. What it's doing, it's heating up the tissue at a very comfortable temperature, and by doing that, it's transmitting that heat to the subcutaneous tissue and destroying some of the fat cells. So this particular machine, the TrueSculpt ID, is the only FDA approved device for that purpose. And there are other, I think, machines on the market, but this stands apart because of the technology. It's really brand new technology, and the ease and the comfort that you see with this machine is very particular to it. So basically, what's happening is that these hand pieces here are attached to the skin, and we apply a decal, which is basically a sticky paper, that attach it to the skin, and then it goes in sequence. And what's happening is the heat is transmitted from the skin to the subcutaneous tissue where the fat is, and this is where your target is. Mm-hmm. The fat is getting to be 3 to 4 degrees Celsius hotter than the skin. So it's very comfortable. So it feels like a hot stone massage.
What's the span of the treatment?
So what we do is it's very individual. So when you see a patient, you have to really determine the areas of concern. So it's lower abdomen, upper abdomen, flanks, but the abdomen is the most commonly, a treated area because, particularly in women after childbirth or any age, the abdomen is very difficult to really sculpt. So we can go up from, 2 pieces to 6 pieces. It depends, but most people want to treat several areas at a time, so you can do an abdomen, you can do flanks in the same setting. So that takes 15 minutes only.
So who is the ideal candidate for TrueSculpt?
Anybody basically. So there's really no BMI. The BMI is the body mass index. There's really no limit on it. But obviously, if a person is very heavy, there is some reduction, but they're probably not going to see it, and they're not probably going to notice a big difference. But it's for a person who's, have a little bit of pockets of fat here and there, a person who's, exercises and they're still not happy with, having flanks or having, a little bit of pouches in the abdomen. This is the ideal candidate.
TrueSculpt isn't to be mistaken for or associated with other surgical treatments.
It is.
Where that when you do it, you expected some weight loss throughout maybe your lifetime, while this is a one-time procedure in conjunction with eating well and exercising.
That's true, but the other thing is that nothing is really permanent, but once those fat cells are gone, they do not come back. So it is kind of, because you have a certain amount of fat cells in your body as an adult. So after you do the treatment, like we said, you have the 24% reduction. So those fat cells that are gone do not return. If a patient gains weight, that's a different situation. But for somebody who's maintaining their weight, that's an ideal situation for them.
What are some of the side effects? Are there any?
There are practically none. There's just mild redness in the area where you put the applicators. It goes away in about a half an hour to an hour. And because with this technology, we don't use high temperatures, the highest we go is like 43.5 to 44 degrees Celsius, which is about 111 Fahrenheit, I think. And there are some times when people feel a little bit nodularity, like little pebbles, but those go away. But there's really no pain and no adverse effects.
At the moment, Dr. Zaknoun is hosting free consultations to anyone who is interested in learning about TrueSculpt ID and what it can do for them. Reporting from Wareham, I am Queen Banda of WCTV. I hope that you were inspired by today's special programs. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this short break with Today in History. Hello, and thank you for being with us this morning. We are broadcasting live from our WCTV studio in Wareham. This is Good Morning Wareham, your source for local news, weather, traffic, information, and more information. And now for a moment in history. Let's take a look at where we were today in history. At the age of 27, way back in 1952, Queen Elizabeth II was crowned Queen of Great Britain. She has been the most well-known monarch of modern times with the longest reign. Today, she is 92 years old and has been on the throne for 66 years. And to another cool history fact, Of Mice and Men, the classic American novella, was first published today in year 1937. The story of George and Lenny has been a staple of the English curriculum in schools for years and has produced a few film adaptations. The author, John Steinbeck, first became successful with the release of the book Tortilla Flat in 1935, and is also well known for another classic, The Grapes of Wrath. If you haven't read Of Mice and Men, be sure to check it out. It is a quick read and a wonderful book. And of course, you have guessed it. Whose birthday is it today? Today, like every day, we celebrate some birthdays. Ronald Reagan, the 40th president of these United States, was born today back in 1911. Born poor in Illinois, Reagan was able to break out in Hollywood and star in some films. He was elected president in 1981. President Reagan died in 2004 at the age of 93. And also Bob Marley, who was also born today, back in 1945. Born in St. Anne, Jamaica, the most famous reggae artist of all time is remembered for his love of music and devotion for creating peace in the world. Though he passed away from melanoma in 1981, Bob Marley is still seen as one of the best lyricists of all time, and it is also loved by millions. And happy birthday to everybody celebrating their big day today. That is all I have for today in history. To learn more about cool history facts, please go online under history.com. Stay with us. We'll be right back. The coffee segment is next. But first, let's take a look at our events calendar. welcome back. You are watching Good Morning Wareham. We are broadcasting live from our WCTV studio in Wareham. With us is the Superintendent of Wareham Public Schools, Dr. Kimberly Sheverhurt, here to grace us this morning so we can get to learn about her. You know, her origins before Wareham, here in Wareham, and future prospects. So join us. Welcome.
Thank you.
So we started before the segment started. I asked you the question of how long you've been with us, and you said for 6 years.
6 years.
And so I looked under your LinkedIn profile online that you got your doctorate degree from Northeastern in 2014. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So tell me what prompted you to get into education?
Oh, well, I have been lucky enough to have had wonderful, wonderful teachers along my path. When I was a student, I had teachers that really meant quite a lot to me and opened the door and showed me a whole new world. And I thought, oh, that's really special. And when I was in college, I played tennis, and my tennis coach in college was in education, and she thought that she just kind of steered me toward the School of Education, and that's really how I got into the door. And once I was in, I thought, oh, this is fun, enjoyable. Yeah.
I mean, I could imagine things were a little bit different back then, being a teacher, or is it still the same?
Oh, no,
Okay.
no, quite different. It's changed a lot. When I was in college, in high school, you know, I'll date myself a little bit. The women's sports, we hadn't had Title IX yet. And so there were many times when our parents would fund our travel, different tournaments, things like that. You wouldn't hear of that today, or if you did, we'd be in court.
Yeah.
And so that's changed, the equity between men and women's sports, and just the offerings have changed. The way we teach and what we know about learning, it has dramatically changed.
And it's continuing to change with more surveys done, with more technologies, more studies done, so we get to learn more and more about how to teach and the best way to teach.
Absolutely.
So talk to us about your observations on the evaluation of the Wareham school system.
Well, the first thing I would tell you is the staff in Wareham are wonderful. They're caring, they're willing to give 110% so the students achieve. I've never seen a staff work harder in my life. And so I think that our students in Wareham are very lucky to have the staff we have.
Absolutely. And I know there's a lot being done to keep students here in Wareham so they don't, for their high school choice, they don't branch out of Wareham. They get to stay here in order to see what we can offer. And this school year, starting this school year, because of shutting down of Mine and Forest, so we had to we had to combine classes or take 8th grade to high school. And I remember speaking to Mr. Palladino. He was happy about that because he wanted to show the 8th graders what Wareham High School has to offer. How do you think things are going so far?
Oh, I think it's been a wonderful year. You walk into buildings, there's learning going on, it's busy, but it's productive. And it's joyful to walk through and see all the excitement. You know, the other thing is that I would challenge anyone to call me, and I'd be happy to take you and walk you through our buildings, because while there are all kinds of misconceptions out there, that's exactly what they are. They're misconceptions. Our kids are in a wonderful environment, and sure, do we have some issues that we have to deal with? Absolutely. But for the most part, it's a great place for students to be.
Yes. Do we know if the 8th graders will stay in the high school? even with the new school coming up?
It's very likely, yes, they will be staying. One of the things that we had to work with DESE on when we went through the MSBA project would be, would we be changing grade configurations at the end? And right now we're saying no, we're not going to. We're going to be staying pretty much as we are, with the exception of moving every elementary student over to the new building.
Fantastic. So what are your goals? What are your education goals here for Wareham?
I think to continue to broaden expectations and opportunities for students, and to meet the students' needs. I think that we really need to listen to what the data tells us, and how do we program to help the students at the areas that they're at. But we also have to raise the bar, because it's our job to make sure that our students compete with any other student in the Commonwealth. And they have that ability.
And I could understand there's some challenges. I mean, you want to raise the bar, but what are some challenges along the way?
Well, we have several challenges. One is just to make sure that we have adequate staffing, and we really need to address the lower level. And what I mean by the lower level, we need to support our primary years, because once a student knows how to read, the key to knowledge is unlocked. And what we've seen is we have some new programs going on at DECUS. This is probably the third year right now. This year the data is telling us, when I look at my number of special ed referrals, we've cut them in half. So it tells us some things are working. We also look at student growth and student learning from the summertime. And when we've tested them at the end of the spring, and then we bring them back in the fall, we really don't want to see much of a slide. And this is the first year that we've seen our kids hold pretty stable, so we're thrilled. But we know we need to continue with what we're doing and just really have some intensive work in supporting our students.
You know, speaking of challenges, and as you're talking about making our students here in Wareham just as competitive to any other students coming from different high schools. During, I think, 2 school committee meetings, this discussion came up about social promotion versus merit promotion. According to the study, it shows if you hold back a student, there is a great percentage likelihood that the student will drop out, won't finish their high school education. So there is this, you're trying to keep a balance between holding them back when necessary, and at the same time you do not want them to fall out of school. How are you handling that? How are you dealing with that? What's your take?
Well, before I went into administration, I was a guidance counselor in schools. And as a guidance counselor, we really worked with students that were having some academic problems. We looked at how do we help them and what could we put in to remediate. And my belief has always been that if I would retain a student, I need to change how I program for them for the next year, because it was just ludicrous for me to see that I have a student that was not successful in a program, but then I was going to have them repeat the very same program the following year. It just has never made sense to me. How would I expect that student to grow? Because it didn't work the first time, well, why would it work the second time? And so what we really started looking at was, what could we do differently? If we were going to make that decision to retain the student, what could we offer them that would be different? Because our goal was to have them be successful. And so you have to look at data, you have to look at the students where their weaknesses are, but where their strengths are as well. And then you have to program for the students in those type of areas. And it's really an individual type of programming. One of the discussions that we're having right now would be, how do we do have some students that could benefit by repeating some basic skills. So how do we program our schools in order to meet those students' needs? And you know, that's one of the one of the things that we hope to accomplish in the next 3 to 4 months, coming up with a plan. But I would like to get to a place where I didn't even have to have this kind of discussion, because I would like to be able to provide the students what they need to be successful in their current year.
Yes. Do you see this as the issue on social promotion versus merit, a problem rising from budget restrictions that the schools are facing? Is it connected at all?
No, I think it contributes, but I think back when I was in school, I remember students that were retained.
Yes.
And it's just something that not everybody learns at the same speed. Okay. And we have to be able to be flexible enough to work with the child of where they're at.
Okay. So, what are new trends in education?
What we're really seeing right now is a lot of studies with the brain and how the brain interacts with learning, and how that movement and it all links together. And you can't separate it. We've done some work in, it's called Brain Gym.
Yes.
And it's getting the kids up and moving, and then the connection. At Deacon's we have a program going now with movement and repetition and more movement, and how it links the memory, and we're seeing some really nice results. The other piece that I would tell you that we've seen tremendous growth is in special education, and how we've expanded to meet the needs of various disabilities. And actually some of the disabilities that we're seeing come into school systems we didn't see 15 years ago. And so that certainly has expanded. The way we work with various students with disabilities has changed and needs to continue to change, because we need to be able to meet their needs.
Yes, and I'm looking at technology too. Technology is changing. What do you see is the role of technology in Wareham schools?
Well, technology is a tool.
Yes.
That's it. It's just a tool. It helps students access the curriculum. It helps students access information. But to depend on technology alone, we won't have the well-rounded education. However, students need to learn how to work as a group. They need to work cooperatively, but technology is here to stay.
It's here to stay. And one of the technologies that we see everywhere is our cell phones, of course. And I'm wondering, what's your take of cell phones in the classrooms? Some are arguing it's a tool, but what's your take?
Well, right now, our students do not need their cell phones in the classroom, because every student has a Chromebook. And so if they have their cell phone out, I know they're really not doing educational activities.
So what do you see as your greatest accomplishments so far?
I think just being able to open the doors for students and provide them with opportunities. And I can't pinpoint just one piece. I think every day it's an opportunity. And you never know, when you touch people's lives, you might learn years later you made a difference. But that's how you approach every day.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity.
Are there any disappointments along the way?
In education? Yeah. Sure. I can still see pictures of kids that I couldn't reach, or pictures of families that I just couldn't help. And yeah, it's a disappointment.
Yes. How is the Wareham community when it comes to educating a child? Yes, takes place in a classroom in schools, but also, as you're talking during summer, you're not there, you don't see the kids, right? So how are parents working with you? Are they working with you at all?
I think parents work with us to the best of their ability. Parent and guardian involvement is critical for our students' education. When we have a student come to us in preschool, we really need them to know how to hold the book. We need them to know how to turn the page and track. And unfortunately, some of our students aren't able to do that. So that's something that we're working on. The other piece is we need parents to believe, and if they have questions, they need to come and talk to us. There's too much just generalization and jumping on the bandwagon sometimes and assuming the worst. Let's find out the facts. Let's sit down and have a conversation, and it's a partnership.
And that conversation can also take place during the school committee meetings, where parents are open to the public. Sure. They can come and air their concerns, if any, right?
They can. I guess what I would caution would be student confidentiality is just so important. And if I would have a parent that was upset about something that had happened with their child, I would hope that they've gone through the principal or even come to me before they go and open it up to the public, just because I can't respond in public if it talks about a child. I won't violate confidentiality even if the parent's sitting there. So I'd much rather have a conversation one-on-one and to be able to have, an open dialogue.
Wonderful. Back to the beginning. Did you always want to be superintendent?
Oh, no.
No.
No, not really. I started out and was a guidance counselor. Well, first I taught, and then I went into guidance, and then I started in administration and became a principal. I was working in a school district, and there was an assistant superintendent's position open, and I thought, I bet I could do that. And that's just really, it was never my goal.
Yeah.
But I'm very happy to have it.
Wonderful. So what's next for you? What's your career goal?
Oh,
Is it still evolving?
Still evolving. You just never know where the road's going to take you.
Wonderful. So we talked a little bit about MyNet, and the town voted for the debt exclusion, $40 million. Also, the state gave us the $50 million grant. What's next for MyNet?
Oh, it's so exciting. If you haven't visited our website, you really should. It's starting to emerge as a school. We're seeing colors starting to come. We're seeing what the inside of the building's starting to look like. As you walk up into the door, you see how the entryway is going to be. We're having meetings about different locations and just we're starting to talk about furnishings. I mean, it's coming alive.
It's coming alive. When should we expect the new school?
Oh, that's a good question, because we're talking about that right now. We began by saying the fall of 2021. And right now we're having some conversations about over the Christmas, the holiday of 21. And that would be for several reasons, and we're still talking a little bit about that. One, we know that there's many MSBA projects out right now with virtually the same timetable as what we have. When we go out to bid, we would like to be as competitive as possible, and we know that if we say the fall of 21, we're going to be jumping into a mix with many other schools. But if we would delay it about a month or 2 months, then it would put us at a different place that we could bring in bids a little bit less expensive, and that would certainly, and it would save money. That would certainly be a goal of ours. So we're having that kind of discussion. The other piece is just making sure that if we say the fall of 21, we're ready to open. And part of my logistical concern would be having people in the building, having people tour the building, know where they're going on day one, because it is going to be a building of 1,000 students. Can you imagine all the excitement that's going to be there that day? And if we would have it a little bit delayed, we could do a much better job, perhaps, of orientation, making sure people knew where they were going, et cetera, et cetera. But more importantly, it would be ready to go.
Yes. What's the public's role during the preparations for this new school?
Well, we certainly hope that the public looks at the website. They're more than welcome to come to our building meetings and to offer input, because our goal is for this to be a community centerpiece. And we would love to have community involvement. When we were designing and talking to the architects about the building, we set it up so it could be accessed in different areas by the community and used by the community members without having to go through the hallways, but you have an easy access into the media center, you have an easy access into the cafeteria or the gymnasium, because we believe that this needs to be used by the community.
Wonderful. What is the best scenario with the new school? What would you like it to be, or what value do you want it to add to the town of Wareham?
Oh, it would not be measurable, the value that we would like it to add. We think that it will be a wonderful place for students to go to school, to be educated. It will be a community center, and students would look forward every day to getting on that bus and arriving at that building.
Absolutely. And some have mentioned this, that a new building is great, a safe place for our children, but it won't solve anything. Are you looking maybe to hire more bodies, to put in more bodies in the schools in order to add to their value?
You know, part of it is making sure that we live within our budget and we manage a fiscally responsible facility. Yeah. So what we're looking at is, how do we maximize the money that we have? We know there are different initiatives that we need to accomplish as a school district, and so we need to be able to focus on those, and that's where our resources go. To add more people, just to add people, no, we can't do that.
Okay. And of course, the state minimum wages are going up, and they will continue to go up. I could only imagine the challenges that poses.
Well, it does in a way, but as a public entity, we do not need to match the state's minimum wage. However, we've chosen to do it because we think that's the right thing to do.
Yes, fantastic. So how do you feel about your time here in Wareham?
It's been an adventure, an absolute adventure. The people are kind. I enjoy working with people. I've met some wonderful people, and I have never met a more accepting community. I've never been in a more accepting community for diversity, for accepting differences that our students have of people. It's a gem.
Yeah. Any memorable stories?
Oh, goodness. Oh, that's a good question. I can't think of anything right off the top of my head.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
You're welcome.
And of course, you have said that you'll stick with us on a weekly basis when you can. I will be happy. We'll be very happy to have you to learn more, especially about the MyNet. I think weekly update on what's going on and what people should expect and so forth. So
That's
thank
great.
you for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking. It's been fun.
To my viewers, thank you for joining me this morning for another episode of the Good Morning Wareham. With us was Dr. Kimberly Sheverhood, the superintendent of Wareham Public Schools. We got to know a little bit about her hopes and dreams, and we got to talk about MyNet Forest, the new school. Hopefully we'll be here within 2 years, right? So we'll be looking forward to that. If you missed this morning's episode, do not worry. We will re-air it in the evening at 6 p.m. Join us Friday. Wareham Week will be here. Either Matt or another reporter from Wareham Week will be joining us for the story of the day. With that, Wareham, I wish you all a wonderful day. Bye.